You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru at. Tümer gitti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim pası. Zuma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 107 of Beşiktaş International's The Black Eagles podcast. We are back, live from New York City again, and from elsewhere in New York State as well. The epicenter of everyone's favorite virus. With me again, Evran Akman, or the Akman himself. How you doing, sir?
Doing all right. How are you?
Okay, getting a little stir crazy, as you can probably tell from my intro. But, yeah, you know, doing okay, basically. How's life? Life in lockdown for you?
Yeah, it's not as bad as I guess in the city is where I am. There's actually front lawns and places to go.
Yeah.
Not just an apartment building or wherever you live in the city. I'm guessing some sort of high rise. So
Mundo.
a lot less space you have there. So I'm not too stir crazy.
Yeah, it's you know, the perks of the city don't really translate in times like these. You know, hopefully these sort of times aren't that regular, but no, I mean, to be honest, I have a balcony. I'm always the type to be trying to be working and doing stuff indoors for the most part, and I've adjusted all right, to be honest. And you know, for people who are more intrepid, people are kind of out doing daily walks and stuff like that. It's not an impossibility. I think the fact that I have a balcony is kind of a crutch for me to like not. And you know, I'm probably being safer in the long run anyway, I guess, staying indoors. But yeah, people are kind of creeping around out there now, like cautiously, you know, geared up, of course, masks and the like. But yeah, you know, we're doing all right, honestly. We'll get through this, everyone. Hopefully, we're also providing some entertainment for everyone out there that's also on lockdown all over the world, and ideally, even to take a step further, Beşiktaş will be around to give us something to focus on as well. And supposedly that's already in the works. So let's just get right into it then. Episode 107 here. Evran, so let's talk Beşiktaş. There's a lot on the horizon here, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of murmuring now, I guess, now that the season looks like around Europe is going to get replayed, or not replayed, restarted. So transfer window rumors are restarting, and even though it's still only May, I guess, or April, I lied, but almost May. So it's this weird kind of limbo.
Well, yeah, since you're our intrepid reporter over here, tell us a little bit. So I think this is a good starting point. Speaking of leagues opening up and all of that, there's now precedent for opening. Not just Turkey has sort of decided they're going to probably try to reopen in June, but what's the sort of scope around European leagues generally?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, I guess, the countries that handled it a little bit better or weren't hit as hard are looking to start earlier. And the countries that were hit a little bit harder for Corona are looking more like the June start. But the Bundesliga said they're ready to go like in 2 weeks, early May. So that's kind of like an outlier. But including like in leagues in the United States that are talking about restarting, they're looking at more of like a June restart date. But you know, the whole fan thing is still not in the cards.
Yeah, that's probably going to be that's an important asterisk, I'd say, to all of this, is that we might be saying that leagues are going to reopen and there's going to be stuff to watch on TV. But of course, that's not going to I don't think we're going to see fans in stadiums for quite a while just because of the capacity issues and all. It's very hard to social distance, obviously. If whatever. It'd be interesting to see what a stadium would look like with like little groups that social distance together coming into the stadium and being separated six. You know what I mean? Like
2,000 people in Vodafone just
exactly, just very well socially distanced. But honestly, we may even start to see experiments like that take place as this becomes normal. Until a vaccine is out there, obviously, I think people are gonna. I mean, who knows if this becomes like a virus out there, like all the others. This could become something of a norm, and so generally in society, things like wearing gloves and masks and everything are gonna become part of life, perhaps. I don't know, but anyway, it'll be interesting.
So, like the interesting tidbit regarding FIFA, not rule change, but allowance is that since the games might be kind of like packed into a short period of time, to get all the games in like within a month or so.
Oh, so that they can still have like a real transfer window without adjusting too much.
It looks like FIFA will allow more than 3 substitutions per game. So they're saying maybe 5 substitutions per game, because if teams are playing every 2 to 3 days.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's not like official, but
that's a rumor out there. I like it.
It's a rumor out there.
That's a good practical kind of. It's so like almost you don't even want to accept it as reality because of how FIFA and UEFA and all these guys are so unprecedentedly like corrupt and terrible at forward-thinking type of stuff lately. That it's like, whoa, really? They're doing something smart. They're doing the wise thing here. That's good, and it shows kind of flexibility too. I like it. Yeah, well, let's get into Besiktas while we're here, while we're finally talking football. And yeah, it's good to know that there will be international football for folks to watch on TV, even perhaps sooner. It would have been nice if Turkey could have been on, so that like before other leagues, so that there'd be more eyes on it, for a minute. But obviously, Turkey was actually hit pretty hard, so it's good they're actually being somewhat cautious relative to others. Okay, well let's talk Besiktas. So let's talk before we get into any of the rumors, and I think we have some nice tweets from our listeners on Twitter that have come in with questions. Let's talk some training news, and there is some. Of course, guys have been coming in groups of 5 for a bit now, almost like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Has it been 2 weeks? No, just a week.
Yeah, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. I'll say a week and a half.
Maybe, or even because it was just literally the day we were recording last week they started. So no, it's been a week, just a week.
Oh yeah, well, I think they had the second session the day we recorded. So yeah, it's been a little bit more than a week.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We'll round up, week and a half. And so yeah, there's already news. I think the biggest news is probably that everyone's being called in. Foreigners have to quarantine for 2 weeks before they can sort of attend training camp. Probably not necessarily on the suspicion that wherever they've come from is like more dangerous or anything. I think, but even just the traveling itself puts you at risk, being in airports and airplanes and all that. So they're probably just being safe in that regard with the 2 week.
Yeah, that's according to NTV. So we'll see if there's an official protocol that'll come in, but they're usually somewhat reliable for a Turkish source, I would say. So
yeah, that's a huge caveat, but yeah, and I think some good news regarding foreigners and training is that Atiba, I guess, never left Turkey because he's raring to go supposedly, and he demanded to be part of training. Which, I wonder if they were like, you're a little old, sir. Like, perhaps you should. He was like, no, I'm coming in, man. Or whatever it is, he supposedly had a great ethos, work ethic. Which I guess brings us to the sort of major news as far as what's happening with the current squad. And that is salary. Salary offers and all of that. I'll hand you the mic, Evron. What's the news there?
Yeah, so basically we have 3 starters right now that we own that have expiring contracts. Atiba, Gekon Ganu, and John Atkin. They're all expiring this year. So this is looking to re-sign, it looks like all of them, but for reduced salaries. John makes the most. He makes 1.75 million euros this year. Gekon makes 1.65, and then Atiba's down to 800,000. So the rumor is that Gekon and Atiba are looking like they'll accept a reduced salary, but with John is a little bit less certain. Apparently, they offered John about 850,000, which I guess maybe isn't what he's liking, which is almost about a 50% cut, if not more. My mouth isn't very yet, if not more. And then Gekon is a little bit less of a cut from 1.65 to 1 million, supposedly what they offered him.
That's a little more than 50. But yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's you'd think that John Air would be open to it, just given his age and I think sort of prospects. I don't think he's in high demand anywhere. Certainly not any of the other big Istanbul clubs. I mean, maybe like Başakşehir or something.
I guess he does have decent, like his assist numbers are quite high, but he played as a winger for a lot of those.
Yeah, and even he had like spells in central midfield and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly a useful guy, and I would.
He's also 5 or 4 years younger than Gekon. So
yeah, he's 31, which is of note, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone recognizes that one of our biggest needs is actually as a left back to replace him. That's been that we got Lubosho for that role, right? We thought, and that maybe didn't pan out. Not necessarily because he didn't play well. I think just financials on it and everything didn't time well.
Yeah, well, I think it was he didn't play well enough to really warrant I think the buyout was like 4 or 5 million.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest here, though, like now that given everything that's transpired since, like even if he was exactly the guy we wanted, I doubt we could even we would have had to negotiate that down somehow. And if he was the guy we wanted and played really well, I really doubt we would have been able to. So it would have been another one of those pickles.
It's been pretty clear that they didn't want him because I don't think he was dropped for performance reasons. I think it was like a obligation to buy based on how many appearances.
Exactly. No, it was right about the halfway point. Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing he got kind of close to that appearance mark.
I think it was a 50%, yeah, because it was right about it was right past the halfway mark where it was like, oh, suddenly.
And that's when we stopped seeing him play. So.
Exactly. But so, yeah, and like we'll put a little bookmark on that left back conversation because there's other news perhaps that we can start talking about when we get into rumors later. But so yeah, as far as those guys getting offered pay cuts. The only guy I really feel for, supposedly he's already maybe even theoretically amenable to the idea, is Atiba. And not because, like, he's already not paid a ton, despite the fact that he's, like, one of our best, most consistent performers. But he's taking cuts for us, like, regularly. And so...
Already, yeah.
You know what I mean? So for him to take another one, like, first of all, as far as, like, legend status goes, man, like... People want to, like Necip took a pay cut supposedly, right? And people are like, oh, see, there's a real Besiktas player. Dude, Atiba is a guy who we actually need on the pitch, and he's been taking... Yeah,
Necip makes far more than Atiba also.
Yeah, and Atiba's been there, like, on the pitch for us this whole time, you know what I mean? Like, we need him, honestly. So... if he's really even taking another pay cut, like, god damn it, just put that guy's statue in front of the stadium, like, as recompense, and like lock him in, guarantee that he's coaching he's an assistant coach or something like fitness coach, whatever it may be. He needs a role, like guarantee him something for all of his sacrifice. But yeah, do you have anything else to say about salary cuts?
Burak apparently has agreed to pay cut. There was rumors that he was going to leave, that we weren't paying him, and then they had to come out and say that's not true. And Burak said, I'll actually be taking a pay cut, but we don't know what the pay cut is.
I wouldn't.
He just said it's happening. So
I'd love if there was a cut in terms of the amount of years we're committed to. Although I doubt that's the case. If he's going to take a pay cut, it's probably with the notion that he's guaranteed some time, which is a shame. Interesting, though. Interesting. Certainly the big knock against a guy like Burak, in addition to his poor performances this season, would be his giant salary and all the years we're committed to it. But so if he's willing to take a pay cut, at least that negates part of those knocks. And if he can recapture some form and score some goals in that time, then it won't all be so bad, perhaps. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, I think we kind of paid a premium on Burak is kind of like the safe option. You know what you're getting with him. He's not gonna be a world beater, but we know that he had like a bad year so far, but he still scored 11 goals.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of penalties, but if like compared to, I don't know, if we gave Guven the mantle, I doubt he would have scored 11 goals at this point based on his form so far. So
yeah, I'm definitely in agreement that he was a better option than Guven Yeltsin. Yeah, no doubt. It'll be interesting. And again, we'll put a bookmarker on that because there's news of another striker already within the club who could be making a return. I mean, heck, that's a good segue, I think, because we've talked about everything in training. The other bit of news as far as current guys and as far as signing, re-signing, not re-signing, the only sort of negative confirmed here is that Loris Karius is gone. Let's say a word about that.
Oh yeah. Well, came out saying that we canceled his contract. That was like the news of the day. And then the next day, his agent went to like a big German newspaper, Bild, and said his contract wasn't canceled yet. But yet is what they said. Because they basically said, yeah, we went to FIFA. Besiktas owes us money. We gave them plenty of time to respond. And it's not the coronavirus time. It's from, I think they said October to March. He hasn't been paid.
And yet makes it sound like it's a foregone conclusion that he is gone. I mean, look, the reality is that, once again, even if he was literally the perfect keeper who everybody wanted to stick around, we probably couldn't afford him. Again, we would have had to figure out some extension of a loan. Or, everything is going to have to be a shrewd move or a very cheap one at this point. So it's, in a way, like, his leaving now, I wouldn't even be surprised if we wanted that, because we knew we weren't re-signing him, and we need to see in these remaining games if either Utku or Ersin Destinoğlu is an option going forward, right? Because that's what we're kind of left with at this point, beyond some transfer rumors. And again, bookmark. We're leaving a lot of bookmarks here.
Yeah, if the season did come back, that's what we would be left with, assuming. So I don't think Karius would play again. I mean, maybe it's possible, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly he's gone. That's done, right? So, and I think he can't leave this week, because then he'd be voiding part of his contract. So
yeah, I mean, they said he still has a contract to the rest of his loan. His loan hasn't been officially canceled yet. But. Yeah,
and if he wants to claim the money that's owed to him, it's probably even in his interest to be somewhat present, or as best as he can. So I don't know. We'll see how that ends, but it's that anyone, you can pretty much just assume he's not really a part of the future. In a way, I'm looking forward to not having the Karius debate anymore. It was getting tiresome all around. But so yeah, let's get into some of the positive. So as far as guys with the club staying or going, Karius out. That's one. But so now all of the loan guys, and we talked about a bunch of them last week. There's sort of news, a little bit more news, some more momentum as far as where they're going, or particularly staying, specifically, I should say. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
Everyone?
Yeah. So I guess the main guys we talked about last time, which is Ozan and Valerian.
Yeah.
But based on what they're reporting from TRT, is that Larin and Issy Miron will be coming back. Issy was at Toulouse in France, and they're in like last place. So basically, they're Banco guaranteed to get relegated, assuming there is relegation if the season restarts. And with the financial turmoil, they're not looking to purchase him. So it looks like Larin Issy will come back, and then Ozan we're still kind of up in the air because it seems like he likes being, I guess, back home for him in the Netherlands. But there is reports from Miliet that Sedergan likes Ozan and actually tried to stop him from going in the first place. So we'll see what happens there. And then also, Sedergan wants Fatih Aksoy to come back and play like as a regular first team player.
Or like challenging, right? Challenging.
Yeah, like a challenging, and I'm guessing midfield. We'll see what Sedergan wants. And then the rest of those youngsters we have loaned out: Muhayer, Erdem Seckin, Hasic, Sedat. The rest of them, like I said, that's not really a youngster anymore, but Sedergan will give them like a chance once they come back from their loans in training camp.
Is Muhayer on loan? I thought.
Yeah, we loaned him out
to
the second league to Giresun. So.
Has any news on that? Has he played all right?
I don't know.
That's a stretch, I get. No, I mean, I think this is going to be like a theme this episode that I'm going to have to sort of be reminding folks about probably more than once. But it was announced that we have a 500,000, I'm going to like optimistically say euro, but it could very well even be Turkish. It could be the Yeni Turkish lira.
500,000 yen.
yeah, that would
at this point.
Who knows? I mean, yen wouldn't. Well, yeah, that would be pretty bad. Actually. That's like a week's salary. I think. But, 500,000 is not going to buy us. Like when you hear he wants Ozan, he wants Fatih Aksoy. It's not like in a regular transfer window Beşiktaş wouldn't be trying to upgrade at those positions. It's given where we are and the fact that we only probably have one move in us this window, and it's not going to be like a big splash, a bomba, I doubt. I think it's a recognition that like this is the talent that we can bring back is maybe better than what we're likely going to be able to bring in. Even in an ideal
also
world.
Depending on what we offload. So I think that 500K is kind of like if we don't offload people. Is we have Vida, Lajic, Lens, and then all the loanies. So that type of stuff. So
yeah, so I guess this is another segue to the next phase of that, and that's that like we have to talk about guys who are outgoing. I mean, so obviously all the guys who are coming back, Isimat Milan, Larin,
and Fatih Aksoy, yeah.
Ozan, even, I mean, I doubt Fatih Aksoy has a giant market for his ability right now, but who knows, I guess.
Fatih actually had a good season, so his market value has gone up.
But like, there's a point where it's like he's young enough and he's a product of our system, and we need someone playing the position too. Like if someone comes in with an offer, we'd probably even sell him. But
probably not going to be anything astronomical. But I could
not for Fatih Aksoy.
1 to 2 million.
Perhaps remember those rumors of Italian teams looking at Durakan? Like if anything like that comes in, goodbye, whoever that is. You know what I'm saying? Like
Durakan is the most likely of the younger guys to be sold.
Yeah, especially now with contract issues and all that. But we haven't heard much about that lately, so we'll see. And I've noticed that he likes like every comment, everything that is posted on Instagram by Beşiktaş players. He's liking with little black hearts. So like, I think he's still a part of the team spirit anyhow. So now, as far as outgoing guys, and I'll hand you the mic again in a sec, Evran. But we neglected to mention all the news surrounding this guy last week, and so I think we should start with him this week. Adem Ljajic. So first of all, right, we should talk about the news of him being transfer listed, and then, first there's news of an offer which came in for him, which he personally may be rejected, and then we're transfer listing him regardless, and then blah blah blah. So I'll hand it over to you. What do we know about Liajic?
There's really nothing definitive. Obviously, he's one of the highest earners. We paid $6.5 million to finalize the loan. So I think we invested $7.5 million in total, which is like a boatload considering our our current financial issues.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, he didn't have a great season this year, but he was excellent before, and I think he has like that reputation that if we are going to sell people, he's probably one of like the 3 guys who could actually fetch a sizable sum.
I'll tell you, and it's obviously like it's such a weird season, and all of our memories are kind of contorted. But my distinct Liajic memory of the season is not that he played really particularly poorly at any stage. It's that when there was pressure on him and everyone was booing him and stuff, he came in and scored that stunner of a goal. That was a real... and there's something to that. There's definitely... It says something about someone's character when they,
Yeah, I mean, if it was 19 years old playing the way he was, I think people would be very excited. But I think it was, the pressure he came in with was that he was supposed to lead the team, carry us to glory, and with Object, clearly that just wasn't happening. And I think he's not that type of personality. If the team sucks, to be, surging through the midfield, picking everybody up, making tackles. That's just not who he is. So.
No, and in that regard, it's a shame, I think, for a number of the guys who have come in and, could have had, things could have been different if the time, and I've pointed to Karius before as a guy that is an easy scapegoat who, if we had a solid back line the entire time he was there that was, used to playing together and wasn't ravaged by injuries, if, for Liajic, right, if Burak had been healthy the whole time, because they established a nice partnership, and then that was broken up because of Burak's injuries and coming in poor form and everything. There's all these what ifs that you wonder about. It's a shame, honestly. It's really a shame how you can go back to Pedro Franco, who I always thought was pretty decent, but he had 1 or 2 bad performances in a row, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, But
yeah.
We're talking about Pedro Franco, which means we're way off topic. Let's refocus here. Any other outgoing guys? We've hit Liajic, we've hit Karius.
There's also potential on Vida leaving.
Oh, Vida, yeah, that's a funny one.
Yeah, there's nothing crazy news. It's Javier Turbin is the source, so it's not I wouldn't bet your life on it. But apparently Slaven Bilic, a fellow Croatian, wants him, which I think just, even if it is made up, just it logically makes sense that Bilic should be interested in him because he always signs Croatian players wherever he goes.
Yeah, he coached
him. West Brom is basically ready to get promoted to the Premier League, so they will have money.
At least repeat that, because you were kind of coming a little fuzzy there, but yeah, West Brom or West Bromwich Albion to be.
That's they're basically top 2 spots with Leeds, who's also linked to Laren. Last episode we mentioned, so they should have money next year. Bilic, they have that Croatian connection, so maybe we could fetch somewhere upwards of 8 million potentially. Don't want to don't get your hopes up, but it's definitely a possibility. And then also Terra Sport has reported that Diaby and Rebojo are not going to be kept after their loans. It's kind of guaranteed. And then Besiktas is working on El Neni for next year for another loan.
Extending the loan.
And then Boateng, we're not sure, because I think the salary for Boateng is supposed to be raised to 1.5 million next year, and Besiktas doesn't want to pay that, so that all has to be sorted out still.
I could see them bending on that, because I think the whole world is in finance. I think everyone will be understanding of, whereas perhaps in last season they would have been oh, this Turkish club is trying to get a cut rate discount. At this point, anyone who's hey man, can we get a little? It's yeah, of course, I totally understand. These times are crazy. It's a general sentiment with everyone regarding everything now. Even landlords are chilling out, which is unprecedented times. So yeah, I mean, this is okay. That's interesting. I mean, and I guess now before we talk about anything incoming, and there is stuff to talk about. I guess we could start to sort of sum up how we feel about some of this stuff. Now, like, let's say we can't sell some of these guys. How do we feel about them coming back and playing for us? So we'll go through the list. How do you feel about Fatih Aksoy?
Yeah, you may know this already because I've said it multiple times.
I'm setting you up. Yeah, there's like a softball.
Yeah, Fatih is, I think, has a real chance to be just financially like the best option for that defensive mid spot. Kind of like the perfect replacement for Necip. Homegrown, has a couple years left on the contract, good age, and then he can fill in at center back and right back. But he's actually like better than Necip, and I was really impressed with him this season on Sivas, including against the big teams. It seems like he's a big game player. Typical Turk, shows up when he wants to, but
when it matters most.
He has an extremely low salary. I just think it makes sense. We're not going to find something easier than that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no fee associated with it, and it fills a need.
He's actually like defensive midfielder, because he's used to be like a ball playing center back. So
yeah, and it obviously it puts less pressure on us resolving El Neni. Like, if we can't extend that loan, we know we'll have like Fatih and Atiba, at least two guys in Dorkan in theory. I don't know, we'll see. Well, okay, next on the list, Ozan, and I think he's the least likely to return, not because we don't need him, and I think it makes complete sense that Sergen would want him back. But what about, the possibility of that? Like, how do you feel about him returning if he could? Or do you feel like that's something like we should prioritize? We should like force him to return because he's so important,
Yeah, I mean, I think wherever he goes, he kind of has to take a pay cut. So I think that's like leverage for us to make him take a pay cut, because Feyenoord's not going to pay him 2.2 million. We don't want to pay him 2.2 million. So if we can bring him back with a pay cut, and if Sergen likes him, we kind of saw what he did with Ozan Tufan at Alanya. I mean, it's not like Ozan Tufan's the best midfielder in the world now, but he went from, Fenerbahce reserves to now, like, starter. I think he's captain sometimes, actually.
I mean, he's even returned to the national side, hasn't he?
Yeah, national team. He played against France and all that. So I think, I still have faith in Ozan for some reason. But when he did have a promising start at Feyenoord, and I think I would like to rather see him in that El Neni role. It's just because he has that ability to pick out those key passes when he's not playing like garbage.
So you're saying Fatih next to Ozan?
Yeah, Fatih and Ozan as a potential duo. So
Dorkan is a right back then in your...
Yeah, well, I think Dorkan can fill in at right back or in the midfield. I'm going to hope, in my mind, I think we're still qualifying for the Europa League next year. That's just my, my enthusiasm.
No, man, that's a realistic. That's a completely realistic goal.
If we can catch up to see.
If you were like Boateng and trying to guarantee championships here, I'd be
title,
maybe you need to relax and learn about alcohol. But
I hope next year, if we can have Fatih, Ozan, Dorukhan, Atiba as like the midfield, keep those four, and then sign like a youngster from the Turkish league. But we can move on to that later. So I think we have a question about what we want to see.
Yeah, well, heck, maybe you've done it again, sir. You've done it again. Let's segue right to that, because I think we've really covered our bases. There's one more. Yeah, let's talk about. I mean, Isimat Milan. Let's do that first. What do you think about that? Should he come back? Do we need him?
I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. So if we have Rocco and him, so one of them has to go, essentially. So I would rather see Isimat just because he can move. Rocco is like sometimes good, but when he gets caught out of position, it's like it's over and he's not good enough to be that.
Well. Now, hold on. I'm not going to correct you. That sounded like I'm about to correct you. No. It's not that I'm going to correct you. What I'm going to say is let's now assume Vida is gone, right? Because that's, if any, I would say he's more likely to go than even Ljajic at this point. Or, I mean, they're about as likely to go, in fact. And I'd say they're both quite likely to go. given that
Vita's the most wanted player on our
exactly
squad.
he has the most value. He
Logically
gives
speaking.
any capacity for us to bring in any other player into the squad basically predicates on our ability to sell him. And even then, I doubt it's just like, oh, we got, let's say $7 million for Vita. It doesn't mean we now have $7 million in our budget. It means that we have like probably $2 million in our budget, and the rest goes to salaries / debt or whatever. So, I'm not talking anything revolutionary here, but let's just assume Vita's gone before we talk about Isimat Miran. Now,
Okay.
we're down to Victor Ruiz and I suppose Enzo Rocco as our two defensive, as the back line. Would you rather see Isimat
Well, yeah, we
Miran?
also have Alpay Chelebi, who got loaned out to Kaiser, and I think he tore his ACL or something. He's missed the whole
That's
season
exactly
so
right.
far.
Yeah,
So
and he could come back. We hope he
yeah,
come out
so he's
strong.
19 or 20. Yeah, so I mean, preferably I like Ruiz. He's just injury prone. I would like to see Ruiz.
I mean, Fatih Aksoy was actually a defensive.
Yeah, he used to be a center back before he kind of got morphed into a CDM. He's been better there, but he can fill in there. So can Nejip.
He's the Nejip prototype. Hopefully, he's better than
Yeah.
Nejip. We can all
Yeah,
assume.
in my opinion. So I would rather just keep Isimat and let Rocco go. That'd be my choice. But whoever gets it, there's more likely to get an offer for Isimat than for Rocco.
So are you saying then that your preferred back line for the incoming season is Victor Ruiz and Isimat Miran? Or are you suggesting Chelebi is the, you want to see that work most of all?
I would like this to Isimat and Chelebi be the backups, preferably. Like if we have 4 center backs, so I'd like us to see a decent center back come in if we sell Vita, but
that
we'll see.
That for me is ridiculous. Now hold on one second. Wash my hands. I should keep this on the episode as a reminder that everyone should wash their hands.
We got Laren left.
So hold on. No, I don't mean it's ridiculous. No, I really think that of all the positions, I think you can pretty much assume we're gonna bring one guy in. One. Just think about that for a second. And so what I mean is that we have, if you consider Isimat Miran, we have kind of a bunch of guys in a position that we can offload one, probably Domingos Vita, and then we have Victor Ruiz, Isimat Miran, Enzo Rocco, and Alpay Chelebi. And I feel like we're forgetting. I mean, there's who's the kid that was playing for us this season? Kartal? No, that was the central. That was the central midfielder.
No, he's a midfielder.
Who's the?
I don't remember. I think it's Erdogan.
Erdogan Kaya. That's exactly who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember being impressed by him at all. But I didn't see him that
I mean,
much.
hell, he's young, a year of development. Who the hell knows? But yeah, I mean, I doubt a whole lot changes. But point being, that there's 5 guys on the roster, right? Like that.
Yeah.
The top 4 guys are the guys in the rotation. So Erdogan Kaya's out, right? There you have it. There you have 4. Does that mean we're keeping?
Yeah, I'd like to see Erdogan Kaya loaned out, and then Alpay kind of come in as that 4th option. But,
I agree. I fully
we'll
agree. I've always liked Alpay Chelebi. I used to create him in FIFA 2 years ago. Last time I bought FIFA and played it regularly. But yeah, I mean, I like that. I think we certainly have to be of a mind to have a young product in that last rotation spot in all of our positions, ideally. But for that, I guess let's just move on to the last position here, which is up front, and we have Kyle Larin. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we get any offer more than $2.5 million, we should just take it.
You even go. I was going to say more than $1 million. I mean, honestly, if you can get some money for him, he's gone. I assume.
So I think his bio clause was $2.5 million. I think right now he played pretty good at Zulta, so I don't think we should take some garbage $1 million offer. considering we paid 1.8. But
Yeah,
any
but
like,
so, all right, how about that? That's a good. All right, that's an opening for a conversation point. So that means that let's say nobody's willing to like make what you consider to be a good enough offer. Are you willing to play hardball and keep him on the roster?
I mean, I would if we can offload Guven either on loan. I would be okay with him coming as the backup. Although
Yeah.
he is such a frustrating player at times.
He's a more suitable back. Yeah, dude, Guven Yalchin can go away.
When it does work with Larry, he does offer something. He's big. He can actually dribble. He is sometimes strong when he feels like it.
Remember that first half of the season, right? There was a moment. There was like a whole summer where we were excited about him. Remember?
Yeah. So I think he still has potential to be like a useful off the bench or backup type guy.
He's
But-
certainly like
If he clicks with Sergen type.
for sure. Yeah, that's the thing.
Because
No,
he needs to be like comfortable. Because he's not like a strong mentally type guy. Like I think like even Burak can like even if he sucks, he can still go out there the next day and play. Like Laren, if he sucks, or even Guven, same thing. I don't think he can go out the next day and still play the same way. So
Yeah, no, I mean it's gonna be interesting for sure, but it's like, poverty can really like change your outlook. You know what I'm saying? And I think for Besiktas, we have to sort of consider poverty as a realistic outlook for where we are right now, and that, if like, all right, so let me just ask you this, and this we'll use this as a launch pad into the next conversation, but like wrap up this one. For you, what is like if we can bring in one guy, and I'm not going to ask you who the guy would be, but like where would he be? Where would he play? What's the one position that needs a boost upgrade? Like what's the one, right?
I mean, I guess logically speaking, you would say goalkeeper. This was Utku's not good enough in my opinion, and Ederson we don't know, so I'd have to see Ederson play first.
I mean, I would even say we know enough about Ederson to say that like you don't want him to be your only option, right? Because Utku is not an option. We can definitely say
Utku's
that.
okay, but he's not even like a backup option to me. He should be a third string goalie type thing. So
Yeah, he can honestly go. I would say let's even like loan him and see if he can like gain some confidence actually playing somewhere. But I can't even think of a place he'd play regularly right now. Anyway, I mean, let's not dwell on that. So you're saying keeper is where we really like have to make that one
yeah, that's.
investment.
I'm assuming we're gonna sign a player, but other than keeper, like in my mind, our weakness, I think, I would say in center midfields, I don't like it, but we have so many players coming back in on loan that it doesn't really, it doesn't even matter. So I would say goalkeeper, and that's what we just have the least amount of depth in.
Yeah, especially with Karius not being an option whatsoever, like. Yeah, I mean, okay. So that means that there's no way we're getting an upgraded striker. And
I wouldn't count on it, yeah.
I mean, dude, and honestly, like, I think, in a lot of ways, a striker is one of your biggest expenditures when you're putting out money for a transfer, because goals
Unless
cost.
we sell multiple players, like I think if we sell both Laic and Vida, and then one of Guven or Laren goes, and we get money for them too, then then maybe we'll see a player.
Dude,
I mean, obviously,
I have one caveat that really, like, you have to add to that, which is, remember Cenk? Like, we've had even just like a giant sum of money, and we didn't see anything come in as a part of it. And it's because of our situation, like. And I'm not trying to be like a party pooper here. It's just, I want us as a fan base to be as rational in like our expectations as possible, and it's not.
My current expectation is the only new striker we would get is Laren.
Exactly.
It's not really new.
That's
my
not
current-
new, but it might be an upgrade at the backup.
Yeah, he has blonde hair now, so.
There you go. Who knows? Who knows what that brings with it? What kind of trouble that brings with it. But so, I think Guven Yalchin needs to be loaned. I think we can all agree. Like, I don't mind keeping Umut Nair as our third string keeper. Just because he can come in and do something. Remember that game where he came in and scored twice? And Guven Yalchin.
It's like a Shishmanoglu type.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't even mind Shishmanoglu, the third string. But Certainly, I think Guven Yelchin actually has even theoretically enough potential, and he's young enough that he could develop something somewhere by playing
he has
regularly.
shown at times that he's a good player. I remember before he was playing, I really liked him. Like, I saw potential in him.
I mean, look, the thing is that if he plays regularly, like, you never know. Like, someone
Once
could play
he
him
got-
as an
with that
attacking
number 9
midfielder.
shirt, it hasn't
think.
been the same.
That-
Hasn't been the same.
Once he switched to the number 9, interesting.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
I
that's
guess-
the thing. Like, think of all the guys like Burak Yilmaz. That's just one example. Ibrahim Usumez. Like, there are all these guys who've just gone somewhere, played somewhere out of need for some coach, and then found themselves. Like, who knows what this man's future is? And he's young enough that he can still find
He
something.
still has potential, but he needs to be able to play and mentally like kind of overcome whatever is wrong with him, because when he's bad, he's like really bad. Like, he's not even like useful. So when he's good, he can shoot, he can dribble, but sometimes when he's bad, he looks worse than me. Like, it's really
No, it
something.
is. It's true. And like, that's like, I remember we had a prospect young striker like last summer who I saw highlights of, Ozan Akun, right? And like, we loaned him out to like Istanbulspor. He doesn't really amount to anything. I had hoped something could happen there. Now, I think in the case
He's
of
like our
Guven,
like top scorer ever in the youth academy, or like, you know, people are gassing him up type thing.
and he never even played much. I don't know, but I mean, I think in the case of Guven Yelchin, you could actually probably find him a place where he'd actually play.
Yeah, he seems like a Dutch league, or second division Dutch at worst type. You know,
Something, man. Yeah, but he's got to play for sure.
a similar level to what Laren was loaned out to.
Exactly. But so, which means there could theoretically be a place for Laren as a backup. I don't think anyone's going to be thrilled to hear it, but at the same time, just look at the big picture here. Like, if I would say striker, it's probably the second biggest need, honestly. Maybe third if you think about central midfield and
Left
Ozan
back.
being gone.
I'd say left back is.
Then you okay, yeah. You know what? I'll call striker
We
our
have,
fourth
we have
biggest need.
2 potential outgoing left backs, and we'll have to see Rowe after if they both are gone. So
Yeah, because I would actually say
of
in
them are,
order.
missing.
An order of operations here. I think our keeper is the biggest priority. Left back. No, actually, no. Keeper, central midfielder, left back, then striker. So striker is the fourth biggest need. We're not going to get 4 new players, guys. Like, sorry, man. Maybe on some free transfer stuff and like some finessing and all that, but it's not going to be. I wouldn't hope for anything better than Kyle Laren, honestly, like realistically, since that's our fourth biggest need in a window where we're likely to spend, like in quotation marks, on one guy. And again, I put that in quotation marks because we're not spending big money even on that one. So
Have Ozan Akgün back from loan, so maybe
there we go.
maybe he'll be a new striker. Yeah.
Maybe it's Mohamed Demirci's time to shine, man. All right, so let's move on. Now, this is a special segment. This is a special time for all of us. I'm pleased to announce, and before we talk about the next section of our podcast, there's a fan request. A listener has chimed in from Twitter, and I'm going to read what he has to say. So, at Zerzavachi, he's appeared before. We've heard from him previously. He wants to ask us about players we think would be good transfers, and look at any rumors and areas to improve. So I think this is a perfect segue into that part of the conversation. We've already begun that part of the conversation as far as what positions need improving. So we've started to answer your question, Ozzy. Everyone, but so I'm going to hand you the mic again because you're on a roll now. What do you think, man? Let's talk about rumors, I guess, since we've already, I guess, talked about our biggest needs.
Rumors,
yeah, let's talk about rumors, and then we'll start talking about like what you want. But yeah,
Sure. So, the newest link for the goalie front, I think before I've mentioned all these names, which was Sluga. I'm not sure if I mentioned him last time, from Luton Town. Volkan Babacan, Sinan Bolak, Claudio Bravo. The names are still cycling. The newest one is a 32-year-old Polish keeper in the Bundesliga for Union Berlin. He is going to be a free agent. His name is Rafał Giekiewicz. Excuse my pronunciation. Apparently, Besiktas is interested in him, according to beIN Sports TR. So, that's kind of the type of player I'm assuming we'll be looking for. Experienced, free agent keeper. So maybe a loan type thing, but not the type of Champions League playing Karius that everyone knew before he joined.
Yeah, well, and so this is what I was alluding to, man. When you have a 500K transfer budget, and if you can make a little leeway and make it $1 million, maybe 1.5, 2 million if we're lucky. Because again, like big sales, yeah. I'm telling you, man. Like even if we get like 10 million in returns somehow on some miracle, selling Ljajic and Vida or something. It doesn't mean we have 10 million in the coffers. It means that we'll get like 2 million to spend. Like it's not going to be pretty, folks. But so what that means is we're going to have to be kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. A guy on the last year of his contract, so where we can get someone with a little quality, but maybe
There's also one other loose rumor for left back, Fabrice Nsakala.
That's an important one. Yeah, let's start there. Let's start there, and then we'll sort of circle back to keeper.
I don't know. This reminds me of, if anyone remembers back to Raheem Lava, this kind of reminds me of a similar type situation where the player definitely wanted to join, but the solidity of the rumors was pretty rough.
Tenuous.
So far, the only rumor is Fanatic, so that's pretty bad. But
we've got a scoop.
He did share a picture on his Instagram of him like photoshopped into a Besiktas shirt. So I guess that's not a thing you do if you don't want to join the club. Obviously, an Alanya player is going to be a free agent. Wouldn't want to join Besiktas logically, but it's going to come down to many factors. How many other teams are interested, especially as like a low cost alternative. And he's like a defensive left back, very quick, very good defensive, discipline and positioning, like the opposite of John Eyre. But going forward, he's not going to light the world up.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe Besiktas.
It's kind of like a Tocic safe option transfer. That's how I describe him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Besiktas isn't lighting up the world either at this stage of things. But look, I mean, he's 29, relative to John Eyre's 31, which is, I talked about incremental steps. I didn't mean it so literally last week, but a couple of years, and he's a little quicker, perhaps a little more useful defensively.
John Eyre doesn't like to defend much. Anyone who's watched us play this season.
Exactly. And what it does is it allows us to keep John Eyre on the bench as a utility guy who can come in all those positions that he comes in, and we have a guy that could theoretically sort of be starting consistently and playing at a pretty high level at that position, for the Turkish Super League, I guess. And again, a cheap option. He's a free transfer, which goes a long way these days, if we're going to be honest.
Most likely be more inclined to take that type of offers we're hearing for John Eyre, like 800,000 or 850,000, and John Eyre is much less inclined to be taking it off.
Yeah, and so if John Eyre's out, and then so we'll have to sort out who the backup would be again. But perhaps then we revert to the youth academy for a backup. Who was the backup? We had a Ridvan Yilmaz, exactly. Yeah, so he'd be our
little man.
Exactly. a short stop in the position there. Yes. So what else do we have? I think that's the only sort of
really
about as concrete as things get. So.
Yeah, Sluga, I think I mentioned last episode, right? Or did I not?
I don't think you did.
Okay. Yeah, he's just. Yeah, I can mention him quickly.
Well, it's all right. Let's round it up. Let's round it up by talking about what we want out of the transfer window. So, all right. All right. So that leaves us with the last bit of Ozzy's question, and I think it's in some ways the most important part, at least as far as what the hell we're doing here. Right? It's one thing for us to sort of spit out rumors from the news, and it's another thing for us to analyze things a bit. And so I'll ask you first again, Evran. Now, what do you want out of this window? And now, So, like, you said already that keeper is the priority. What's your ideal keeper? And try to factor in, like, if you can get a free guy or a guy on the cheap, and then you can, like, put put together a little window here. What do you got?
I think definitely if we're looking for a goalie, it has to be a free player. I'm guessing it'll be between the age of 28 to 32. That's the type of profile we'll be looking for. Maybe a loan of a younger player. But I wouldn't even think so, honestly. Yeah. So, but definitely no younger than 25. I don't think the Jets will take risk on starting keeper like that. So it's going to be, I'm assuming, some sort of under the radar keeper. Sort of like the Giga Whites makes sense. One of the relegation side in the Bundesliga, 32 years old.
What's his name again?
I think it's Giga Whites. It's not. I guess we'll find out if he joins.
Gilkovic. So yes.
Iewicz. Gilkovic.
Gilkovic. Yeah, it's like a Polish sort of name there. Okay, that's who you're looking at. That's your ideal.
I haven't seen him play, but that type of profile.
Yeah.
Under the radar, solid reputation, low cost.
I hope I don't get a lot of hate on this, but I wouldn't mind Sinan Bolat. He's a guy I would have been
a good reputation outside of Turkey. I think just in Turkey he has a terrible reputation. So
yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, I think he was on our radar, and I really wanted him at the time, and then I don't, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's gone downhill for him, but it's gotten quiet, Obviously, as you age, you become a lot less of a prospect, and people pay less attention to you and all that. But it could be a sort of situation where he hasn't done anything to kill his reputation anywhere. So maybe coming and playing for a club like ours, he could actually show what he's always been about. I don't know. That's the romantic narrative on a cheap option. But yeah, looking for the stuff on the cheap is, of course, that's the main thing. So, all right. So now you've saved us a bit of money with your ideal keeper scenario. What are you saving it for?
I mean, if we had a lot of money, like 4 or 5 million, I think my heart really wants Abubakar to come back. Every time I see the rumors, I get excited because I'm stupid. But I don't think that type of transfer is going to go down. I mean, it's possible just because he barely plays for Porto and the potential injury history. So I think that would be an amazing financial coup for us. But I don't expect that. Let's think about
it. What's his transfer value marked as these days? Have you looked
lately? Supposedly, Porto has lowered his asking price from 8 million to 5 million.
I mean, you could still get it even lower than that. What if it was a 3 million?
Back when we got him, back when we first lost him. Apparently they wanted more 40 million, 30 million. So
yeah, back in the day, man, that was
yeah.
It's a good thing we didn't pull that money together, I guess, given what's happened to his transfer value. But so, all right, that's your goal, that's your dream, is to fill that. That's just. I thought you agreed that central midfielder was more important.
Well, central midfield, I like the thought of that. Oh, that was the one I forgot to mention. I played Mehmet Özcan from Eskişehir, and another player I would want to get actually is Rabil Tagir, or Tagir, I don't know, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, from Altınordu. He's a 16-year-old left-footed center back. I think ideally if we can get a player like that, break the bank a little bit, but not for our budget.
You mean spend $1 million, 1.5 million?
Yeah, maybe up to 2 million or 3 million if we can get him, just because before he turns 18, we have that he doesn't have an EU passport, so no EU teams can sign him until he's 18. So the earlier we move, I think, is the better. I mean, obviously, Altınordu might be we don't have to sell him. We'll just wait. But maybe they go bankrupt with Corona.
With the rest of us.
Yeah, so that's what I would think would be a smart move. Him, Mehmet Özcan, I think we've been through the summer. He only has 1 year left on his contract. And Eskişehir got another point deduction, so they're guaranteed to go down to the third division at this point.
He's out of there.
Yeah, so he's probably gonna go. And I think, he's sort of a value player, but I think he has a little bit more talented on the ball, so that that hardworking type box-to-box midfielder. And I think he could come in for a year and then kind of slide into Dorukhan's mantle maybe next year or now if we sell him. So I think those type of transfers are what I want to see. But my ideal big name would be Abubakar. So yeah.
Wow. So you're putting it all in for a striker.
That's my guy.
That's your guy, though.
But yeah, I mean, there's other players I like. Obviously, I'm a nerd. I always have names around, but
Yeah, keep it realistic, I guess, whatever. Interesting. Man, I have really not thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
When I think about probably my biggest frustration this year was our inability to score goals. And so obviously I think the idea of getting somebody who could guarantee us some goals, that's a real important thing. Obviously everyone was loving the Talisca stuff, although it was the least realistic thing of all time. But there's a guy who comes in and gives you goals, but obviously as a 10. Now, what I wonder if there's a 10 we can get, and I think we might.
We have it. Aydin Hasic, remember?
Oh man, that's right. Because we got to assume Ljajic is out.
Yeah, I mean, if he is out, I haven't planned for that. But my idea was that Hasic would come out as the backup for Ljajic.
That would be ideal. I would love that. All right, so let's go with Ljajic and Hasic at the 10. So we go with Ljajic and Hasic at the 10. So yeah, I think you do need a striker, honestly. I think you're right. I definitely like the idea of Mehmet Özcan. I've liked that since last summer, and now that we're in this sort of mode of going young and looking for bargains, I think that's kind of the direction you go in. I don't know any young Turkish central midfielders in lower leagues besides Mehmet Özcan, because he's been around the periphery of rumors and all that for a while.
Mohamed Demirci.
There he is again.
I'm joking.
No, I know. No, but so I guess man,
it's tough.
Ideally, yeah, you're gonna try to scrum a bunch of money to sort of spread over a bunch of younger guys, but I
just remember a player we both liked, Jamil Collins for left back.
Yeah, a guy like that. I think of it I gave an example when we were arguing in the group chat earlier about the situation we were in, and one of the guys in the group, I won't name any names, Derek, was really going in on the board and how they have to make big moves this year or they gotta go. And it's the example I gave was if you give me if you give me $10 and say you have to feed us for the next year with $10, I'm gonna fail. It's just gonna happen. Unless there's some savvy some crazy genius who can literally turn $10 into $1 million or something. That's I'll be honest. Those people are rare and of a pedigree that Beşiktaş isn't getting as far as running the club. But so the typical person, you have a couple options here, right? And a savvy person can do something pretty special with $10. You'll have a baller meal for $10 that you would never expect to get, or on the flip side, get a nice sack of rice and something jerky meat or something, and extend it out. But the best you're getting with that, you're not gonna get a year's worth of food out of that. You're gonna get a month. You know what I mean? So it's lose-lose. There's no one who's winning in this scenario, and so you could spread out $50K or $500K over a few young guys. And let's say $2.5 million, $3 million if we sell a few guys, whatever. You can spread it out over a few guys like Mehmet Özcan, Nsakala,
a goalie,
a keeper, pretty much, yeah, and then maybe a young striker, right, for backup besides beyond Larin, which I think Larin is probably the guy, honestly. That's just where we are. I don't a striker is expensive. That's honestly again, goals cost. But you know, like there's a part of me that wishes we could put that money like into the like I'm all about like that one meal, that one baller meal, kind of, you know, and then like just make it work for the rest of the year. Because again, like suffering for 11 months and like kind of suffering for 1 month versus just like having one night and then just realizing like you're screwed and like let's hustle for the next year.
I think if we sold Vida and Laic, we could sign a player like, you know, like Abubakar for 4 million or 5 million, whatever it is, or whatever that type of price range.
Well, so my problem
like,
with it, so
nothing really more than that. That's about like I would say our peak.
yeah, no, and so I think you're guilty of doing that. Like you've spent it all on one nice meal that people didn't think you could get for $10, and so we're like, oh wow, that's great. But then you're still left with the problem of the rest of the team is relatively crap and really young, and then you have that one guy who's a little older. So like, I wonder if there's a guy, and so I'm not a scout, you know, I can't say who it would be, to be 100% honest. But if there's a younger guy that could sort of really anchor a young unit, like who, you know, something.
What position?
And that's what I mean, I think it would probably have to be a central midfielder. I'm trying to think here.
I mean, Ozan was my, you know, kind of easy young midfielder to sign.
So what if you had the 4 million you had for Abubakar to put on a central midfielder who was like younger than 25?
That's tough. I haven't even thought about that. I really like Etebo. I know Stoke loaned him out to Getafe. He's a Nigerian center mid. He's really, really just like technically gifted. He can dribble for days. A little bit undersized for like that type of position. But I think if he has a foil like a Fatih Aksoy, it could be awesome. But I think, you know, maybe potentially they'll be willing to take a windfall on him for 4 or 5 million. I believe they paid upwards of 12 million for him originally.
Well, so there you go. I mean, I guess that's my answer, is that I would follow the model of getting something, you know, putting a bit of a splash into one move, but I would try to get someone a little younger who could kind of mesh with this movement.
Yeah, I think Etebo's 24 or 25.
Like, and that's perfect,
like that
you know. So he becomes like the leader of a young unit, and could kind of grow with the team for the next 4 or 5 years, like ideally, right? Or become so good that we then have to sell him, but we get like a bunch of money, and like that's what it's all about, really. Like, I think we need to.
That's definitely the downside of Abubakar type players. He's 28.
Exactly.
The resale
That's
value.
what I was thinking.
Nice. That's why mostly I'm looking for younger.
Yeah, no, and I like your model. I'm tweaking it. You know, I'm just tweaking your model, and yeah, I'm thinking more as far like I think any player we get now should be of the sort of stature where they could become something where they're so good we have to sell them to make a bunch of money, because it's like we're gonna need money for so many years. That's probably just where we'll be for a while.
Yeah.
Or they'll just be consistent performers that kind of stay within. You know, like it doesn't mean they're not that good that we should sell them, but they become so like part of the unit essentially that they don't want to go, and we kind of like, you know, keep them around. Like these are two ideal scenarios, obviously, but like that's the kind of player you want to go for, like who has the potential to fill one of those two routes long term.
Yeah. We need players with resale value.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, whatever we're investing in, we need to be able to make money on them.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to be able to sell some stuff. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, I think that's my answer to the question of what we could do ideally in some sort of scenario here. Look young. I would even say, like, let's put some money into getting a scout who can, you know, do some of this work that's necessary of finding young guys.
If they pay me, I'll do it.
Yeah, Evran Akman. I mean, honestly, we might need you in the center of the midfield, frankly. So let's take this thing out. And so before I close us out, I will say that there is, of course, one more tweet, which I don't want to just flat out ignore. The reality here is I think we've got quite enough content as is, but I do want to address this and say that we'll mention it next week. Let me pull it up here. Here we go. And good old Frank Jimenez at Frankie.org, FrankYORG. Frank says, right now there are not many things around the team. Why don't you talk about these matches that would be unforgettable? For example, versus Liverpool in the Europa League, versus Lyon. I listened to the last episode. You mentioned some names to be goalkeeper next season. Who is the closest one? And so what I'll say first off is that, Frank, first of all, thank you for checking in. Ozzy as well, Zerzavaci. But we'll hold off on the talk of big matches for, I guess, maybe next week. Who knows? I'm sure we'll run out of content soon enough before the restart. But I guess I'll hand it to you, Evron, for the last word here. What keeper would you say, based on the rumors? Forget your feelings if you can, and try to objectively look at this. Like, who would you say of all the rumors and how they've been building up and everything that you think realistically is the most likely? And I'll tell you my opinion after you.
I think realistically it would have to be a free agent. So I think Sinan Bolat is a free agent. That Rafael Gikovic, whatever he says, his name is a free agent. I would say the least likely, in my opinion, is Claudio Bravo, who's been mentioned. That just doesn't make sense. The Sluga guy who's been mentioned plays for Luton Town, but they recently paid like $2 million for him, or $1.5 million. So I think that's just a little bit unrealistic. Sadly, I think that's out of our price range. So I would say Sinan Bolat, Volkan Babajan, Gikovic type free agents. I think there's that one other guy from Portugal. I can't remember his name.
Varela?
Yeah. Not Varela. It hasn't been mentioned in the episode. The one that Khan always talks about.
Oh, yeah. We'll go there another time maybe when Khan's around.
Yeah. So I think if I had to guess, Sinan Bolat seems like that. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that it might happen.
Wow. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I was going to say Volkan Babajan. That's like the pessimist in me. It's the one I probably want the least of all these three guys. I would be happy to... and I've said many times on the record that I don't really want Fabrik to come back. Not because I didn't like what he did for us or anything, just because he's older and I want to see us taking steps forward. But... relative to Volkan Babajan, I think I'd rather see Fabry coming, but realistically, we'd probably have to spend money on Fabry, and so I hate to say it, but I just have this feeling we're going to see Volkan Babajan as the option there. I would.
Yeah, I mean, he still has a year left on his contract, so that's why I feel like it's.
Oh, Volkan does?
He would have to be yeah, he would have to from in Başakşehir. They would have to let him go, kind of thing, or we'd have to pay a nominal fee.
Wow, I didn't know that, so I take it back.
But Fabry will be a free agent, and
wait, Fabry would be a free agent? No, I thought he still has a year left.
No, he has 1 year left. My bad. Yeah, but Fulham doesn't really want him. So.
Yeah, but again, I feel like they. I bet Başakşehir here has devalued Volkan Babajan even more than Fulham has. Even though Fulham has fully tossed Fabry out the window just because they're an English side.
Yeah, they loaned him this window to Mallorca.
There you go, yeah. So, whatever. But, we'll see. Again, I think it's the pessimist in me that sees Volkan Babajan as the most likely option. But for some reason, I just see it. I just don't want it. There have been so many guys I was I just don't want this guy to come, and then they came. And so I was like, damn it, all right. Now I'm going to start saying that guy's going to come so that, at least I can be pleasantly surprised. But yeah, man, I guess that's where we can leave it. Hopefully we'll have some more news or something more concrete next week, specifically even about a restart, a definitive date, or whatever it is, a plan going forward. But in the absence of that, we'll definitely talk about Frank's suggested topic of some of our favorite matches in the past and all of that. But take us out, Evron. What do you have to say before we go?
Well, I guess it looks like the seasons will be coming back. And if we do have to watch them, although it kind of will suck without fans, I guess it would be kind of cool just to have so much soccer in a short period of time. I guess, especially if you're like me, a college student, your semester will be over in June, so you'll have more time. If you're not back at work, just even if there's no fans, it would be nice to watch tons of Turkish league and German league and whatever else is restarting. So there is some minor things to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting, though. Like, so for multi-sport fans like myself, I feel like there's going to be this, like, everything opens at the same time. So, like, they're going to be closing up the Knicks season, Besiktas, it's all going to be like this flurry. So we're going to go from having nothing to watch on TV whatsoever. I have literally turned on my TV and been like, what am I even turning this thing on for? You know, and then just turn it right back up. To it being like, oh my God, like sorry, dear, I can't talk right now. There's another sports game. You know, I'm gonna start pissing off my family. Oh, here we go to the medical workers. There you go. That's a good segue for. It's actually a fire truck, but whatever. Let's leave it on that note. For all of you essential workers out there, medical folks who are on the front lines of all this, working your butts off, shouts to you. Hopefully, again, we're giving you some entertainment in these crazy times to everyone. All I really have to say is go Beşiktaş!
Şimdi Bobo'nun önüne. Bobo aldı. Bobo girdi. Bobo. Bobo. Bobo çok babasın. Çok harikasın. Çok güzelsin. Harika. Harika. Harika.
We talk a lot. This is we might have like a 30-minute segment. A lot of Beşiktaş stuff.
Yeah,
Yoldan
exactly.
geldi.
There's that's the one thing about
Besiktas International hopes you enjoyed this program.